Hello and welcome to the wedding planning workshop from the Tropical Code. I'm so excited that you're here and that you've decided to join me for the next 5 days. So I'm going to cover the itinerary. Today we are going to talk about the 5 most important steps to take during the Great Pause when it comes to the wedding planning. Next is the best beach towns for your wedding and honeymoon. Following that, day 3 is selecting the perfect wedding venue. And then day 4 is designing a wedding that is totally unique to you. And finally, day 5 will be creating the perfect wedding day timeline. So let's get to it. But first, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kirsten Cowles. I'm the owner of the Tropical Code. It is a boutique destination wedding planning and design company in Costa Rica. So I'm actually from Seattle, Washington, but I have been living in Costa Rica for the last 4.5 years, and I absolutely love it. To give you a little bit of info about my background, I used to plan corporate events for Fortune 500 companies in the US for years. And then when I came down to Costa Rica 4.5 years ago, I started working for a wedding planning company, which is where I discovered that I really loved doing weddings versus corporate events because it's much more personal and because I really love design. It's one of the things I enjoy most. After that, I headed on to the Four Seasons Resort here in Costa Rica and created some fantastic events with them. So I need to give you a little bit of a disclaimer. So as you know, I'm a wedding planner. I'm not a medical professional. I am not a lawyer. And so you're going to need to take my tips and my advice and do a little bit of your own research too. And of course, remember that nobody has ever dealt with something like the coronavirus pandemic before. So I am taking the information that I have right now. And as you know, everything is changing really, really quickly. So what applies today might not apply to my advice to you in a month or 3 months. All right, so now that we've got that out of the way, my first tip for you is to focus on the why. So let's take a moment to consider that planning, or I guess not even planning a wedding, just a wedding in general, is a big life transition. You have decided to spend your life with this person and you're meshing two lives together. So things might be changing for you with your career, maybe, or where you live. You might be putting together your bank accounts and insurance. There's probably a lot going on with your relationship with your friends and your family and the friends and family of your fiance. There's probably just a lot of things happening in your personal life because of the wedding. Next, there's the whole project of planning the wedding, which is a lot of detail and it takes a lot of your time. And then on top of all of that, there's this crazy virus going on that has completely flipped the world upside down. So acknowledge that you are going through something very significant. It is very meaningful, but there's a lot going into it. It's a big deal. So do not underestimate the pressure and the stress that that can cause. And so take some time to protect your energy and your well-being emotionally and physically, and take time for yourself as you need it. Take care of yourself and take care of your loved ones around you. If you need a break, take a step back from the wedding planning and take a breather. That is the most important thing right now. But the reason why I want you to focus on the why is people sometimes get caught up in the little details or the opinions of other people, or maybe the fact that the florist doesn't have the vases they want available on that specific day, or the caterer no longer offers the certain dish we want, or just small things that in the long run aren't significant. And so you want to always keep in mind why you're planning this wedding. And it's because you love this person and you want to share this special day with them to celebrate your love. And you want to celebrate with all of your favorite people. That is why you're doing this. So keep that in mind. Number two is create a communication plan. So I am a huge fan of having a wedding website. I tell my clients that if you have more than 30 guests, you have to have a wedding website. And what you're going to do is send your guests to that website as much as possible. You're going to train them to check the FAQ page before they text you and ask a question. So I have a whole YouTube video and a blog post all about how to create your wedding website, what platform to use, what information you should include on it. So make sure to go and check that out. And I will link it below in the description of this email and the video. So now, how do you let them know about the website? So, of course, you'll let them know on the save the date, but also you can use things like email. And there's a program called WedText. It is paid and it depends on the number of people that you're texting, but it's a way for you to mass text all of your guests. And that way you can let them know that there's been a big change or an update, and you can let them know quickly and efficiently. So let's touch on guest questions, because with the pandemic, you're going to get quite a few of them. So you want to remember two things. Make sure you let them know that you are taking this seriously. You care about their health and their well-being and their finances too. You're not going to tell them to book a flight or book a hotel in bad faith. And let them know that you're staying up to date on the news as everything happens. So they want to know that you're on top of it. They want to know that you're paying attention, that you're reading the news, that you're following what's happening in the country that you're getting married in. So just let them know that you will update them as things change and as you make decisions. Next is pretty obvious, but I really want to drive it home during this time. You need to fully understand the terms of the contract that you're signing and and what the terms are before you pay that deposit. And you want to talk about the different scenarios of what would happen. So let's say the border is closed. For example, it's closed right now in Costa Rica until June 15th. Or is it July 15th? I think it's June 15th. I think it's June 15th right now. But you want to make sure that you talk about those different scenarios. What if you have a 100-person wedding and the government is saying that only groups of 50 can get together at one time? What would happen then? So make sure you fully understand these different scenarios before you sign. Next is to postpone instead of canceling. So first, you're not going to lose your deposit if you postpone. Most companies don't have a rescheduling fee, at least here in Costa Rica, but it depends on the location. It depends on the specific provider. If they do charge a rescheduling fee, it's because they're trying to stay in business and they want to make sure that they can be open and have their business running when your wedding comes around, whether it's in 2021 or in 2022. Also, you want to postpone because you're supporting small businesses in Costa Rica. It really helps. And also it makes everything so much easier. So you're really just transferring all of the work that you've done with the wedding planning to a new date. It's not a new venue. It's not a new provider. Everything's just shifted over to a new date. And there's minimal work that you're going to need to do versus changing the date versus changing it to a completely new location and a new place with new providers. With that being said, a lot of the weddings are moving to the fall and winter. So you need to be flexible. You might not be able to get that Saturday that you really wanted. You might have to move it to a Friday or a Sunday. But with destination weddings, it's usually not an issue because they're on vacation anyways, and they're just taking maybe a Thursday off instead of a Monday. So my last tip that I'm going to leave you with today is to do the parts of the wedding planning that can be transferable. So this is, for example, the design. Be sure to hop on Pinterest, start finding things you love, pick out your wedding colors, the theme, the aesthetic, start reaching out to providers. You can check out the vendor collection on the Tropical Code to see the providers that we recommend and some of our favorites. And for example, start picking out your furniture from the furniture providers or talking with the floral company. You can also work on the wedding website. You can pick out the appetizers, the dinner, the dessert, your cake. You can start designing your wedding menu. You can start scoping out venues and, like I mentioned, different providers. And these are all things that you can do from the comfort of your home without signing a deposit or signing a contract or paying a deposit. And everything that you do with when it comes to these things can be transferred to a new date if you do need to postpone for some reason. So those are my 5 tips to keep in mind during the coronavirus pandemic when it comes to the wedding planning. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned today, just reply to the email or you can DM me on Instagram. But please let me know. I love to hear your questions and your comments. All right, so I will see you tomorrow and we will talk about the best beach towns for you to hold your wedding and your honeymoon.